Hello, I'm your host Matthew, and finally welcome to a weekly news roundup on 2CrazyMedia, where we go over the biggest news in video games and movies that you need to know about that happened this past week. If you're wondering where my co-host Jason is, which he's usually in the news roundup videos, he just won't be in the one this week, but should be in the one next week. Also, this is being recorded as of Saturday, April 25th. And not Sunday, April 26th, like I usually record these videos. I still will be uploading it tomorrow as of Sunday, just at like around 11, 12 o'clock, probably when you're watching this, when this video comes out. But in case, I just want to say that in case maybe some news comes out later today or early tomorrow and if you're like, oh, why didn't he cover that in the video? That's because I filmed it a day before. So just want to film it today as I don't have time tomorrow. And I want to finally get a news video. I haven't done a news roundup on the channel in so long, and that's what this channel started out as. This channel started out as just weekly news roundups, as only doing one video a week, and it was on Sundays, and it was the weekly news roundup videos. And so I've been really just so busy on the weekends where I haven't been able to have time to do these news roundup, because they do take a while to find all the articles, find all the news, and then make these long videos and then edit them and all that. It takes a while, but I decided, you know what? I finally want to get one out. There's been a lot of really big news in video games this week, so I want to just talk about them all and discuss with you guys and get back to it. Just as quick housekeeping before we get into the news, in terms of upcoming videos this week, on the last Thursday video on my Pragmata review, I discussed how I was still figuring out what videos to do this upcoming week. Well, I finally have an idea, and it kind of clicked in my brain early this morning. This is the last week of April. Upcoming at the end of the week, I believe on either Friday or Saturday, or even Sunday, is May 1st. So we're getting into the new month, and why not usher the new month in with videos both on Tuesday and Thursday on both the biggest upcoming video games of next month and the biggest upcoming movies of next month. I've done the same the past 2 months on the channel with all the video games upcoming, and it's always my favorite video on the channel to make, where I just sit down, I go over every single game that is currently listed to release in the upcoming month, and I just go over, discuss a handful of them in more detail, talk about if I'm excited, all that. So, and I'll also be doing the same with movies as well, also this week. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a fun little week of uploads of looking forward to the month of May, which is, I must say, a pretty crazy month for video games, at least for video games. Like, it's wild. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a really fun video to record. So stay tuned for that either coming Thursday or Tuesday of this week. But how about we now get into the news for this week, since there's been a lot and some big ones. So how about we start with what I'd say is probably the biggest of the week, and that is Xbox is changing a lot. We've got the new CEO, Asha Sharma, has come in January. News everywhere saying, is she gonna do good? Is she gonna be right placement? She worked in AI at places, and everyone's kind of worried. She comes in, she's not a gamer. She worked in AI. Is Xbox screwed? Well, seems quite the opposite with these two next news stories. So let's start with the first big one. Xbox is reevaluating exclusivity, affordability, and more. I'm reading from an article from Ryan McCaffrey over at IGN. Exclusivity, affordability, third-party partnerships in focus as new Xbox leadership vows to fix the fundamentals. In a new mission statement of sorts emailed to Xbox staff and posted on Xbox Wire, new Xbox CEO Asha Sharma and Xbox Chief Content Officer Matt Booty laid out new priorities and objectives for the Xbox team, including a reevaluation of exclusivity, a focus on affordability, and evolving third-party partnerships, while acknowledging that players are frustrated. The post titled "We Are Xbox" admits that new feature drops on console have been less frequent. Our presence on PC isn't strong enough, pricing is getting harder for people to keep up with, and core experiences like search, discovery, social, and personalization still feel too fragmented. Developers and publishers are asking for more too, better tools, better insights, and a platform that helps them grow faster. It promises that Xbox will be built to be affordable, personal, and open. We will offer flexible pricing so it's easy to get started and keep playing, while citing 4 priorities: hardware, content, experience, and services. In hardware, Xbox will seek to stabilize Gen 9 as a healthy and high-quality base, and deliver Project Helix to lead in performance and player console and PC games. On the content side, this team aims to grow and extend an enduring portfolio of franchises players love, evolve our third-party partnerships, and strengthen our 5-year slate, and expand into China, emerging markets, and mobile-first audiences. Regarding experience, Xbox wants to fix the fundamentals for players and partners, and with services, fortify Game Pass with clear differentiation and sustainable economics, and use M&A deliberately to accelerate growth where organic paths are too slow. Thus, it would seem that Xbox might not be done acquiring studios. And they also said in a quote, "We will reevaluate our approach to exclusivity." Finally, Matt Booty and Sharma stated, "Our new North Star will be daily active players." So this is pretty big, I'd say. This was, when this dropped just a few days ago, this was almost the big comeback of Xbox. Xbox has been a lot in the news, like I've said, in the past few months due to Phil Spencer leaving, Asha Sharma coming in and replacing him as the new CEO, who is not a gamer before and never worked for any gaming company. So obviously people had a right to be a little bit worried about Xbox and what would happen. But really, we've been seeing lately the exact opposite of what people kind of feared would happen with Xbox, where Asha Sharma and Matt Booty and the whole team are really now focusing on making Xbox the console that people used to love so much, especially during the 360 era, where with Xbox leaning so hard into bringing its games into other consoles like PlayStation, and saying that their next console is going to be over $1,000 and all that stuff. Like, they've been saying in the past few years a lot of stuff that people have not liked, and they've been getting a bad rep for a while now. And so finally, Asha Sharma is coming in and almost just trying to dig them out of this hole that they're in. And this whole Xbox town hall that they did is a really big first step into that. And I think it's a really smart step. Everything that they've said, obviously, it's all about it's not about what they say, it's about how they actually implement it all and the changes that we do see. And until we start seeing more of these changes, instead of them just saying it's going to happen, we can't truly say whether this was good or not. But as in the next news story, I'll talk about a change that they already did do before they talked about this. And it's like, we're already in a step in a very right direction that I think is going to do nothing but good things for Xbox. I think Xbox needs this. Xbox has been in the dumps, or not really in the dumps, but in the dumps of the public mind for so long now. So to finally get them out of this and say that we are going player first now again, we are going to reevaluate exclusivity, which is a big part because Xbox, a big drama has been this is an Xbox marketing campaign and everything is an Xbox, and you can play Xbox on your PlayStation and all that stuff, and kind of the drama that came with that. And games like Forza Horizon 5 selling big time on Xbox, 5 million units sold is insane. Mental for a game that came out almost 5 years ago now. Other games, Indiana Jones, so many games that have come. Halo campaign evolved coming to PlayStation later this year. Even Forza Horizon 6 coming to PlayStation later this year. They're releasing all their biggest games on PlayStation, and who knows if that's going to change. Obviously, they say they're going to reevaluate, but they also said that they're going to look at it truly, and they're not going to make a decision yet in terms of exclusivity and if they're going to bring future first-party games to other platforms. In terms of my opinion on just the exclusivity part alone, I'm very mixed. As someone who prefers a PlayStation just as that's the console I usually play, and I still love Xbox. I did sell my Xbox a little while ago, but that's not because I didn't like the console, that's because it broke on me. And I had some issue where all my controllers, no matter, every time I bought a new controller, there would still just be delay in it. There would be just a full controller delay every single time, and it was just an issue I found out with the console itself, so I just got rid of it. And because I usually played on my PlayStation, the only time I played on my Xbox was playing Forza games. So like, in terms of me alone, as someone who no longer has an Xbox and just has a PlayStation, I like seeing the Xbox games come to PlayStation, because then I get to play games like Forza Horizon 5 and hopefully towards the end of the year, Forza Horizon 6. And all these other big Xbox games coming to PlayStation. I get to play them all because Xbox has great first-party games. But I totally get the other hand of, as someone who used to have an Xbox, and for all the current Xbox players, it kind of feels like you're almost being shafted. Having an Xbox, but everyone else on all the other consoles gets to have fun with the same games you have, but then you don't get to have the games that PlayStation has because PlayStation doesn't give their first-party games to other consoles. I mean, they've even scaled down on that by no longer putting their games onto PC. Like, Xbox players get no PlayStation games. I know this firsthand. I know this firsthand because, like, my co-host Jason, after I got my PS5 Pro a few weeks ago, I gave him my old base PS5, and he's just been all he's been doing lately has just been playing games on the PS5 that he couldn't experience on Xbox, like exclusives like Uncharted and Spider-Man and God of War, and Last of Us, and telling me about all those experiences and enjoying them so much and giving me reviews of every single one. And it's kind of just interesting and I totally get both sides. As someone who's gone through both sides of exclusives are bad and exclusivity is good, I totally get it. And it's just a very strong thing. And in terms of what I think they're going to decide, I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis of what games that Xbox makes comes to PlayStation or not. I think games like Forza, they're all going to still keep coming to PlayStation. With Forza Horizon 5 outsold Ghost of Yotei on PlayStation, which is bonkers, and that's a 5-year-old game versus a brand new PlayStation first-party game that is outselling it. It's doing bonkers how well Forza Horizon 5 is doing, so I am confident that would be really stupid to not have Forza Horizon 6 and any future Horizon game not on PlayStation, because if Forza Horizon 5 sold that much, an old game sold that much, imagine how much Forza Horizon 6 is going to sell later this year on PlayStation 6. It's going to on PlayStation 5. It's going to be insane. It's going to be mental. It's going to be one of the highest selling games of the year. So I think it'd be stupid not to release Forza games on PlayStation, but I think other games like Gears and Clockwork Revolution, I think will be more case-by-case basis. And they'll just kind of wait and see and this whole thing is just wait and see what happens. Wait and see what happens with Xbox. I think what I also find interesting about what Asha Sharma said is that they want to stick to working on this new console that is going to be able to play PC games as well, meaning that most likely it's still going to be fairly expensive. Obviously, with the whole Ramageddon currently happening, we expect any console, any really super high-powered console that can play PC games to be very expensive, and I think this one's going to be very expensive, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know if it's the smartest decision right now or in the next few years to release a console that is over $1,000 just because it plays PC games. Who knows? We'll see. Again, it's a whole wait and see basis of, if it does well, then cool. Maybe other consoles will follow suit, but if it doesn't do well, then I won't be shocked, honestly. And who knows how they'll change that and all that stuff. But yeah, this is just a pretty awesome thing. I think another cool thing they talked about is that internally they used to call Xbox Microsoft Gaming. It was always known as Microsoft Gaming. There was always a side of Microsoft to it all. Microsoft controls everything at the end of the day. But they also said with this that it is now being internally changed back to Xbox, which is awesome. No more Microsoft Gaming. It's just Xbox now, which is really smart. It's just a total way of taking Xbox back from the higher-ups and from the shareholders and bringing it back to the players. I think this is really smart from Xbox, Asha Sharma, and Matt Booty and the whole team. It's great. It's just brought so much positivity back to the Xbox community and back to just people who in the past few years have hated on Xbox and trashed it and said this is terrible, look what's happened to them, and then now people are coming out and saying they're back. They're finally listening to the fans, they're listening to the audiences, they're listening to their players, and that's what matters. And I don't know why it took them this long to finally start doing that again, but it's great. And I hope I can see the best for Xbox. If Xbox really starts putting things up again and really, maybe even if they go back to exclusivity, I might even buy an Xbox again. Who knows? Just to play some of these games, because they have an awesome first-party slate from Fable to Forza to Gears to Halo. They have a fantastic first-party slate coming up. And so I think this is great for them. And in the next news story, we got even more Xbox to talk about, and this happened earlier in the week. Xbox decreases the price of Game Pass, but no more Call of Duty Day 1. Now, I'm going to be reading directly from an article from Xbox Wire. Starting today, Game Pass Ultimate drops from $29.99 to $22.99 a month. PC Game Pass will also drop from $16.49 to $13.99 a month. Prices may vary by region. Beginning this year, future Call of Duty titles won't join Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass at launch. New Call of Duty games will be added to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass during the following holiday season about a year later, while existing Call of Duty titles already in the library will continue to be available. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will continue to have access to hundreds of games on Xbox console and PC, including current Call of Duty titles, in-game benefits, online console multiplayer, unlimited Xbox Cloud gaming, and major Day 1 releases. You can find more details on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, Game Pass Premium, Game Pass Essential, blah 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 blah. Our players cover a wide breadth of geographies, preferences, and tastes, so while there isn't a single model that's best for everyone, this change responds to a lot of feedback that we've gotten so far. We'll continue to listen and learn. Thank you for being part of the Xbox community. So again, like I said, that we need to, you can say all this and you can say that we're going to reevaluate all this stuff, but until you actually start making these changes, then people aren't going to believe you. And this is one of those changes that where people are like, wait, we actually should be believing them. Like, they are not lying, they are telling the truth, and they are being honest with us. And this is a really smart decision. I think this is, as soon as this dropped, I immediately sent it to my co-host Jason, was like, hey, this is crazy, this is fantastic news, and this is honestly one of the smartest decisions from Xbox in a long time, other than all the stuff Asha Sharma has said recently. I think decreasing Game Pass, the price, it got way too expensive. $30 is insane for this. And yes, you were getting all the exclusives, basically every Xbox exclusive Day 1, tons of other games Day 1, tons of big games coming out every month, and also Call of Duty, which was why they increased the price a little while ago, and now they've said, you know what, it didn't do well enough for us putting Call of Duty Day 1 on Game Pass, and we're now going to remove that, and because of that, we're decreasing the price, and I think that's smart. Look, I'm personally someone who believes that Call of Duty doesn't need to be on Game Pass. I totally agree with this decision. I think it's smart, and if you want Call of Duty so much, then just go out and buy it. Like, I feel like everyone that likes Call of Duty just buys it every year no matter what. So even with it not being on Game Pass, people are still going to buy it. I don't think this is going to get much traction in terms of people being angry at Xbox for this and saying, why would you do this? At least I haven't personally seen anyone too angry about this. Everything I've seen so far, people are really happy about this. This has been received very positively, and I think this was just a great decision from them. Who knows what else they can change from Game Pass in the future. If they ever decrease the price even more, who knows what they can do to decrease it. My thought is, will they keep releasing their first party games Day 1 on Game Pass? That's a big question. You know, PlayStation doesn't do that. PlayStation, all their big Day 1 games, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Ghost of Yotei, God of War, all those games are not released Day 1. They usually come to PS Plus about a year or two after release. So will Xbox follow suit? Will they stop releasing games like Forza Horizon 6 and Halo and Gears of War on Game Pass Day 1 as they release? Who knows? I honestly really like how they do that. I think it's really cool. It's great of them to do that. I wish, honestly, PlayStation did that, even though I will always buy their games Day 1. It's still just a really nice thing and I honestly, this was a great decision. There's really not much to say about this. It's just a really smart move from Xbox, and plus it just goes to what they said a few days later about reevaluating affordability, and this is one step towards reevaluating affordability that really does prove that they are committing to what they are saying, and I think that is a really good look. So yeah, good on Xbox for all this stuff. And really, Asha Sharma, she's killing it lately. I think, I love Phil Spencer. I'm a big Phil Spencer fan, but I can even see where Asha Sharma is really setting course in the right direction for Xbox, and I think it's been great so far, and I trust and hope that she'll make a bunch of great more decisions coming soon, and hopefully we'll start to really see the comeback of Xbox in a big way, because I'd love to see that. Like, my first console after Nintendo as a kid was Xbox, so I will always, while I mainly play on PlayStation now, I will always be an Xbox fan. I will always love Xbox, and so I will always root for Xbox, so this is all great news to hear. Alrighty, how about we move away from Xbox finally, and let's get on to some other news. Now, we had a big game reveal this week, and that is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced has finally been announced. I'm going to be reading a little bit from Ubisoft's own press release on their website, kind of talking about everything you need to know. If you haven't already watched the trailer, before continuing this video, go watch the cinematic trailer they released, watch the gameplay overview trailer. They had this long, like 5-minute trailer kind of detailing all the changes from the original game, having comparisons from what the original game looks like to what the new remake looks like, and all the changes to combat and parkour and story and the new additions and all that stuff. And so I highly recommend watching that just to get a little more context, but let's just jump straight into it. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced is finally on the horizon. We've collected up all the key details you need before boarding the Jackdaw and with Edward Kenway on his adventure through the Caribbean. Alrighty, so Assassin's Creed Black, so the release date, it is releasing July 9th, 2026. 13 years after the original game's launch, Resynced is a faithful recreation of Black Flag, enhanced in the latest version of the Anvil engine, featuring many improvements and new content, and led by Ubisoft Singapore, with many of the original game's developers returning to bring the game to the latest generation of hardware. You'll return to the Caribbean to live the pirate life as the captain of the Jackdaw and experience the thrills and danger of explosive naval combat, cutthroat sword battles of the new and improved parry-driven combat system, a total visual overhaul that brings the beautiful tropical environment to life, and so much more. Take on the role of Edward Kenway on his journey from privateer to skilled assassin and his fight against the Templars. You'll relive Edward's story, but in a world that's more immersive and realistic than ever before, thanks to the latest technology and a team with a great passion for the game. The consoles it's on is going to be PS5, PS5 Pro, Xbox Series X and S, PC, on the Ubisoft Store, Epic Games Store, Steam, and Steam Deck, and Ubisoft Plus subscription. And yeah, it all looks fantastic. Talking about some of the new gameplay and some of the new additions to the game, the graphical and technological enhancements built from the ground up on the latest evolution of Ubisoft's proprietary Anvil engine used in Assassin's Creed Shadows, ray trace lighting with global illumination and reflections, optimized performance with 60 FPS options on consoles, graphics assets built from the ground up to support micro polygon and physically based rendering pipelines, and then fully modernized water rendering and simulation. And then there are also new and enhanced features, quests, and stories. Locate and assign new officers to the Jackdaw, who each bring a special ability to naval combat. Playas have been reworked, offering new rewards and unique encounters on islands across the map. Additional missions and new scenes featuring Matt Ryan, Edward's original voice actor, and the original cast. More customization options for the Jackdaw, including new skins and the all-new ship's pets to bring along a cat or monkey companion while you sail. Reworked Kenway's fleet, which allows players to use captured ships to generate passive income through rare activities and trading, now available in the captain's cabin and on all versions of AC Black Flag Resynced. And the old shanties are back, but are joined by a new set of 10 songs for your crew to bellow as you sail. There's also a reworked action-adventure combat featuring new visceral takedowns, new parrying mechanics, quick-fire rope, dart, and pistol moves, and a new enemy archetype, the Demolitionist. There's new enhanced stealth gameplay, observe mode, which extends Edward's eagle vision. Crouch anywhere lets Edward lower his profile anywhere on land. Type anywhere means Edward can stealthily approach seafront locations and ships. Shadows and low light will affect Edward's visibility during stealth sequences, so very similar to the whole shadow system in Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I thought was one of the coolest aspects of the game. And then just a bunch like reworked naval combat, enhanced parkour with moves like manual jump, side ejects, height gaining, back ejects, and quicker interrupts between parkour moves, dynamic weather and objects, and just so much. It's crazy. I highly recommend reading all of this whole article if you want more like PC specs, PlayStation and PlayStation 5 Pro versions and specs and all that stuff, pre-order bonuses, digital deluxe edition stuff, all that. So to get into my opinion on all this, I've never played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, about around the time it came out around the time that I was getting into bigger games and just never really went to it. My first Assassin's Creed game was, I want to say, Odyssey, or the one before, the one in Egypt. But I've enjoyed the franchise. I think the RPG games are fine. I enjoyed Mirage more because it felt more contained, and I know that's how, like, closer to the older Assassin's Creed games, which I've just never gone back to and played, even though I want to play them all. But I am really looking forward to this one. I think it looks awesome, and I'm excited personally, as someone who's never played Black Flag, to play it for the first time and experiencing it for the first time. First experience for me. This is not like I've never played the game. I don't really know what's happening. I'm excited to experience it in the best way possible, to experience it with new content, better reworked system. I've heard stuff like, the combat was always a hot piece of contention with the original game, and now they're changing it to a much more parry-focused system, which sounds awesome. From the trailer, looks really cool. I always like parries. I feel like everyone likes a good parry in a game, and hopefully this one can feel good, and hopefully the combat is fun. They talked about fixing some stuff, like the big thing I know about Black Flag, even before this, was that people hated the follow missions, where you had to follow someone and hope they didn't catch you following them. And they're reworking that, where even if you get caught, you don't fail the mission. You get a secondary objective, which I think is really smart. It's not going to be an RPG like all the recent Assassin's Creed games were all RPGs, which is definitely a big piece of contention. I thought they were fine. I didn't like Shadows that much, to be honest. I played through the game, I finished the story, but I didn't love it. I think the one thing I did like about Shadows, other than the graphics, was the whole stealth system, where if it's dark enough and there's no light, no enemy will spot you. You don't have to be crouching behind a wall or a crate or something to not be spotted. It was so cool. I thought it was awesome. They used the lighting system to put into the stealth, and them doing that in this game as well is, I think, really smart. I just think the trailer looked awesome. I watched it when it came out at the premiere, the trailer premiere and all that, the live stream they did. This is looking really hopeful. I've seen nothing but good things from people who have played the game before, played the original, and said this looks awesome. I really like the changes here, and as someone who hasn't, I also can say that this looks great, and this looks like a game I want to play. This is a definite day one purchase for me. I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a big one, and I hope people like it. This looks awesome. And it's cool that Ubisoft is remaking this game, since this is one people love so much. It's interesting that they're doing this before remaking, say, one of the older Assassin's Creed games, like Assassin's Creed 1 or 2 or 3. We'll see if they ever do that. I would think, honestly, if this does well, then that's definitely going to happen. So, yeah, if this sells well enough and hits critically as well, then I can see us definitely getting an Assassin's Creed 1 remake, or resynced as they call it. I just think it looks awesome. I always love pirate stories. I think pirate stories are really cool. I mean, one of my favorite games of all time is Uncharted 4, which is a modern day pirate story. So I love pirates and all that stuff, and I'm really looking forward to experiencing this for the first time and giving my thoughts on the channel when I do play it and get to review it. So really looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, whether you're excited for it, whether you maybe have some worries about it, since at the end of the day, it is Ubisoft. They've burned us a little too many times before, so let me know in the comments below what you think about this. But pretty cool. Alrighty, on to the next story. The Elden Ring movie full cast has been announced, and also a release date as well. This is coming from Alex Rittman over at Variety. Elden Ring. Alex Garland's A24 video game movie reveals full cast 2028 release date and is being shot for IMAX. Alex Garland's Elden Ring movie is landing in 2028 and is being shot for IMAX. The live-action adaptation of the hit fantasy video game from A24 and Bandai Namco Entertainment is now in production, with release details and a full cast announced. The film is set for release March 3rd, 2028, with Heartstopper breakout Kit Connor, who is already rumored as reuniting with Garland following Warfare, now confirmed. Connor will be joined by Ben Whishaw, who played Q in the latest James Bond movies, Kaylee Spaney from Alien Romulus Civil War, also a Garland movie, and also Beef Season 2, which just came out and I just watched, really enjoyed it, highly recommend. Tom Burke from Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and Black Bag, Havana Rose Liu from Tuner and Bottoms. Other key casting additions include Sonoya Mizuno from Ex Machina, Jonathan Pryce from The Two Popes and the Crown, Ruby Cruz from Bottoms and The Threesome, Nick Offerman from The Last of Us, Margot's Got Money Troubles, John Hodgkinson from Dear England and Napoleon, Jefferson Hall from House of the Dragon and Oppenheimer, Emma Laird from 20 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and Peter Serafinowicz from Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Peter Rice is set to produce the film alongside Andrew McDonald and Alan Reich from DNA, as well as George R.R. Martin and Vince Gerardis. This is really cool. This is one where I talked a lot about this in depth a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, when I made that big video on all the upcoming video game movie adaptations coming out. Highly recommend if you're interested in both this film and a ton more video game adaptations that you may not have known even existed until now. Go watch that video from a few weeks ago. Did a lot of research on that one, but I said in the video that I just know the timing of this, we're gonna get a ton of more news from a lot of these that I'm talking about in the video, and indeed even more news and even more announcements. I'll get into the next news story. I'll get into another big movie adaptation that was just announced, and I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't have made that video in both the best and worst time to make it since so much of the information is now outdated. But still go watch that video because it is interesting to hear about all that, and a lot that we're probably not going to hear information for a while. But back to Elden Ring movie. The cast, first of all, start with the cast. Awesome. I'm really glad that, yes, while there are some big names in the cast, I feel like Kit Connor is becoming a bigger name. He's not, I wouldn't say he's a massive name. His biggest thing is like Heartstopper, which still isn't that big. I'd say the biggest names in this cast are Nick Offerman, who I love. Everyone loves Nick Offerman. I'm really excited. He was like the first name we kind of knew would be in this film after he said that he was working with Alex Garland on his next film before he could say what it was. So that's really cool that he's officially confirmed. And also Kaylee Spaney is probably the other biggest name in this, which I love Kaylee Spaney, one of my favorite actresses currently right now. Alien Romulus, she's fantastic in everything she's great in, even Beef Season 2. And so I'm just so excited to see her in Elden Ring. I think it's awesome casting. I've never played Elden Ring before, so I couldn't tell you who each of these people are playing, or couldn't even predict who any of them are playing. I don't know what the story is going to be. I don't know if this is going to be directly just based off the Tarnished and the Tarnished experience, or if they're going to be basing it's going to be a prequel before the Tarnished, and with who knows? I don't know much about Elden Ring. I know a little bit, but I don't know too much. I haven't really dived deep into the Vati videos yet, and just kind of seen like all his lore, which I definitely will dive into before this movie. But yeah, this is awesome. Great cast. Super cool to see all these people. It'd be interesting to see who they play. If you maybe want to hear maybe a really cool podcast or video where people were predicting the cast, was KindaFunny did a video where they predicted the cast for Elden Ring, and they know much more about the game than I do, and so highly recommend listening to that video if you maybe even have your own opinions on who could be playing who could be the main character, who could be who, all that stuff. In terms of the other details that was announced on the cast, the release date March 3rd, 2028. Good release date for that, coming in just 2 years from now, or a little bit less than 2 years, so not too long to wait. Sadly, it isn't next year. And then also filming in IMAX, which is awesome. That's super cool. I feel like if you're going to make this movie, it's got to be big. It's got to be massive. This is one of the biggest and most beloved video games ever, or at least in the last 10 years or so. It has to be on a big, massive, humongous scale. And so putting it in IMAX, and also the budget, which is $100 million, which is the highest budget ever for an A24 movie by a lot. Before that, the highest budget was around $50 million for Civil War, another Alex Garland movie. And then after that, it was beaten by, just recently, Marty Supreme with like a $75 million budget. And then now it's finally beat by Elden Ring with $100 million, so a big jump in budget for A24, who usually has an average budget of, say, $20 million or even less. So for them to really be pumping a lot of money into this, I think is a great move on them, and hopefully it does well for them. I think this is going to be a huge movie that will hopefully make a lot of money. I hope it's going to be good. I feel like I trust Alex Garland more than a lot of other directors to do this, since he has such a great attention for detail and making things grand on a huge, massive scale. Like Civil War is a crazy scale of a movie for something that feels so small and character-driven and so condensed, but also at the same time feels so massive and grand, and I hope this movie feels the same. Who knows if we're going to see massive hands, like the hand people in this, and crazy tall super people like Radon, all that stuff. Who knows what we're going to see, like if I think it'd be really cool to see a massive dude on like a tiny horse. Like seeing some of the more crazy stuff from the game, it's always interesting to kind of see what's going to be CGI, what's going to be real, what are they going to commit, what are they not going to commit to, and kind of make more realistic. I have faith in Alex Garland since he's such a big fan of the game and has said how much of a fan he is of the game, so I don't think he will change too much about it. We'll see. I'm really excited for this. I'm looking forward. We've already got set screenshots that have been leaked of like the dung eater and the loathsome dung eater and all that stuff, and it all looks really cool so far, so I am really looking forward to this and can't wait to hear more details coming later. I think it's an awesome cast. I love Peter Serafinowicz, so to see him in this is going to be awesome. And who knows who he's going to play, but I think he'll have a great part, hopefully. Alrighty, on to the next news story, and like I said, another video game adaptation, but this time one that just was announced, a brand new one that we didn't know about till now. This is coming from Boris Kitt over at The Hollywood Reporter. Christopher McQuarrie, Michael B. Jordan to tackle adaptation of Battlefield video game. As the week comes to a close, the groundwork is being laid for what could be the biggest bidding war of the year. And it's appropriately enough for Battlefield, the military video game which last year topped the sales charts. And if the title wasn't enticing enough, it comes with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Christopher McQuarrie, who has spent the last dozen years guiding field operations for Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies, and Michael B. Jordan, who last month won an Oscar for his performance in Sinners. McQuarrie is attached to write, direct, and produce a feature adaptation of Battlefield, the military video game from Electronic Arts, while Jordan is attached to produce and possibly star, depending on several factors. This hot package is currently before studios who are already marshalling their interest. Additional producers include Jesse Stern of Electronic Arts, Carter Swan of Emerald Neon, Roy Lee and Mary Yoon of Vertigo, and Elizabeth Raposo of Outlier Society. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that McQuarrie and several others pitched studios and streamers such as Apple and Sony Thursday, with other meetings occurring Friday. Those involved are prioritizing a theatrical release, so it is unclear if Netflix will be on the meeting's list. It is unclear when bidding will commence, but studio business affairs execs better gird their loins for this one. It will not be cheap. Talent costs will be one thing, but even getting rights to the game will be pricey. Alrighty. This is awesome news as well. To just, again, the reason I made the video 2 weeks ago was just, this is the new era of the film industry. The new era is video game adaptations. It used to be book adaptations all the time and other stuff, but now it is video game adaptations. Video games are massive. They are the biggest thing now, rightfully so, and so we just keep seeing more and more video game adaptations as the years go on, and more video games being adapted. And just recently, we've been getting more info about the Call of Duty movie coming from Paramount, which is going to be very big, coming from Taylor Sheridan, which is pretty big. It's one of the biggest game franchises of all time, now having a movie based off of it. And so it's very smart that EA said, hey, and Christopher McQuarrie said, hey, let's rival that and let's make a Battlefield movie, which is Call of Duty's biggest rival. This is awesome. We just saw Call of Duty and Battlefield duke it out in the biggest way possible last year with Battlefield 6 and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Black Ops 7 being not a good Call of Duty game at all, and Battlefield 6 being very well received, and for the first time ever, Battlefield, I think, even sold more than Call of Duty that year. Like, it did really well, and so I think this is really smart to kind of contend with that and say, hey, we're going to be doing a Battlefield movie as well. I love Christopher McQuarrie. I love the Mission Impossible movies, especially the ones he's done. Those are my favorite ones out of the whole series. It's one of my favorite franchises, and everything that McQuarrie does, all of his latest ones, were the best ones in my opinion. Like, Rogue Nation is one of my all-time favorite action movies. Fallout is one of the greatest action movies ever made, and just so many more of the films that he's done. Dead Reckoning, I love Dead Reckoning. Even the latest one, Last Reckoning, was also pretty good in my opinion. So I think McQuarrie is great with the action genre. He's gonna totally kill it. I've got total faith in him to make an awesome Battlefield movie. And Michael B. Jordan is just another awesome draw to it. Again, huge fan of him. Just won the Oscar for Sinners. Wanted him to win. So glad he did win. He's also doing, I talked about it last week in the CinemaCon video, he's directing the Thomas Crown Affair, which is coming out next year, which people said is one of the best trailers they saw at CinemaCon. So he's just on the total roll. He's also doing the Miami Vice 85 movie that I will talk about later in the video because there's news on that happened this week. But yeah, this is just awesome. In terms of who I think could win, obviously, like the article from Hollywood Reporter says, it's going to be a massive bidding war. It's going to cost a lot of money. Obviously, this is a very big gaming franchise, and it's going to go for a lot. This is going to be one of the biggest bidding wars of the year, no doubt about it. In terms of who I think, I'm honestly between either Universal or Apple will pick it up. I think Netflix, they said this movie, they want to make it theatrical release, which is awesome. Fantastic decision. Battlefield needs to be in the theaters. If Call of Duty is going to be in the theaters, Battlefield needs to be right next to it in the theaters. This is a genius. Great, so probably not Netflix. In terms of, I think Apple's been doing great with releasing their movies in theaters and taking a while to then put it on their services. We saw that with F1. I think Apple's killing it. I think this would be a great fit for Apple and just bringing more to their catalog of very big blockbusters, which they've had recently. But I think honestly Universal, I think they probably are looking at it to get more video game adaptations. Obviously Sony is another one that in this article is mentioned. And I think Sony could also be a good fit, but they're also doing, like I had talked about in the video, they're doing so much video game adaptations and like the most out of any other studio. So they're doing so many PlayStation ones, so many other ones, so they might have so much on their plate that maybe it might be good to go to Apple or go to Universal or even, maybe not Warner Brothers because Paramount, like I don't think they'll go to Paramount since Paramount has Call of Duty. They want to compete with, this is directly made to compete with Call of Duty. If it's also from Paramount, that's pointless. So who knows who it'll go to? Who knows who else is going to star in it? I hope Michael B. Jordan ends up indeed signing on to it and starring in it. That would be a great pull to the movie as well and bring even more people into the theaters who might not know much about Battlefield as a franchise. You see Michael B. Jordan, like, yeah, I want to see this movie. So that's awesome. I think this is super cool. I love that we're in this era where we're getting so many video game adaptations, and hopefully this one is good. Like, I hope they're all good. I hope Call of Duty's good. I hope this is good. This is awesome. I feel like Battlefield is more less of a franchise of Call of Duty that has memorable stories in the campaigns. I don't know if I've ever played a Battlefield game with a memorable campaign. I know a lot of people say like Bad Company and Bad Company 2, but I don't think they're going to adapt Bad Company into a film. I think this is just going to be an original story that has the Battlefield title slapped on it. And honestly, Battlefield doesn't have anything like so iconic to the franchise other than cool. Like I hope like in the movie we see like a guy jumping out of a fighter, and this might be too unrealistic, but a guy jumping out of a fighter jet midair, blowing up another one with a rocket launcher, and then diving back into the fighter jet. Like, so we see stuff like that is known for the Battlefield franchise, like someone driving an ATV, driving it off of a roof and blowing with C4 on it and blowing up a helicopter midair. Like, I think like we need to see stuff like that because that's what Battlefield is known for. The whole Levolution is kind of what the series is known for. So I think this is the movie we're going to see big cinematic destruction, massive explosions, massive stuff, kind of like a big crazy Michael Bay movie, but from Christopher McQuarrie. So much better director in my opinion. I think this is awesome. I cannot wait for this movie. Super excited. And yeah, let me know if you're looking forward as well to the Battlefield movie in the comments below. Alrighty, on to the next story. The Far Cry show won't adapt any stories from the games. This is coming from Rachel Weber over at IGN. Noah Hawley explains why his Far Cry TV show won't adapt existing games. Noah Hawley, the man behind the prestige TV hits like Fargo and Alien Earth, has shared a little more about his plans for the Far Cry TV show in an interview with Deadline. One thing that really attracted me to the Far Cry franchise was that it is an anthology, and every time they release a new game, it is a totally different story, he explained. That's how I approached Fargo, and it was an exciting idea that we could build an anthology game adaptation where each series is a different story about civilized people thrown into situations where they have to become increasingly uncivilized. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Rob Mack has already been cast, but you can stop guessing which Far Cry character will play. Hawley will be creating his own story to make sure the plot is focused on a great viewing experience rather than a version of what's been done before. Quote, I'm not specifically adapting any of the games that they put out. I'm saying as much as I did with the Coens or X-Men. Let me have a dialogue with this franchise because this is what I think a Far Cry story is. We can have a larger conversation about the strengths and weaknesses of adapting video games specifically because games are built in a way that doesn't make for the best drama, he said. When you play a video game, you only really move forward through the gameplay section and then you have these cutscenes that you can skip. So when you go to adapt those games, you have to be aware that that makes the human drama kind of irrelevant to the storyline. That is death for a show, end quote. I kind of, honestly, I don't fully agree with him, but I kind of do in the sense of instead of just rehashing a story from one of the Far Cry games, I think it would have been cool to see Voss in live action and kind of have that, the Far Cry 3, be adapted into a TV show. But I do agree that Far Cry, again, every game is different, every game is a new story, so why can't the TV shows be the same? I'm looking forward to this show. I think this is probably a smart decision. Who knows, maybe we could get some mentions of characters like Voss and Joseph Seed in the show, but I think this is mainly going to be mostly original stories like Noah Hawley said, and I have faith in Noah Hawley. He did Alien Earth, which was fantastic, and also Fargo is also great, so I hope he knocks it out of the park with this one. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I just thought this news was pretty interesting. Again, even more video game adaptation details, just so much. Alrighty, on to another news story. Star Wars Galactic Racer release date has been leaked on Steam. This is coming from Robert DeFelice at Insider Gaming. Star Wars Galactic Racer release date leaked. The upcoming Star Wars racing game, Star Wars Galactic Racer, has new details confirmed on its official Steam page. The game, which was revealed at the 2025 Game Awards, is officially coming on October 6th, 2026, according to a new graphic showcasing the pre-order bonuses. Those who pre-order the title will receive a bonus livery for their repulsor craft and an exclusive player banner that could be used in the multiplayer modes. Coming October 6th. This is, I think, a great game. I'm very looking forward to this one. And this is more in the sense of I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, to be honest with you, so it's not Star Wars that's getting me into this game. It's just the fact that it is a cool track arcade racer. We just got Screamer a month ago now, and that game is one of my favorite games of the year. I absolutely love Screamer, and so I'm all in on the arcade racing game renaissance that we're currently going through right now, and I'm looking for this one as well. Everything they've said so far, from the story mode to just the arcade of it all, I think this sounds great. I'm really looking forward to playing Galactic Racer. I think everything we've seen so far looks awesome, and I'm just in it because it is a cool arcade racer, and I'm looking forward to it. And now we have a release date October 6th, so just wanted to let you guys know about that one, keep you guys informed. Alrighty, on to the next news story, and almost wrapping it up, almost done. The Mummy and Miami Vice 85 dates have been shifted. This is coming from Angelique Jackson over at Variety. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz's The Mummy movie moves to 2027 as Michael B. Jordan and Austin Butler's Miami Vice 85 bumps to 2028. Two of Universal's most highly anticipated reboots are shifting release dates. Miami Vice 85, starring Michael B. Jordan and Austin Butler, is moving to May 19th, 2028, taking the previously announced release date for the next installment of The Mummy, which features the return of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. The yet-to-be-titled fourth Mummy movie from Radio Silence's Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette will now hit theaters on October 15, 2027. Academy Award winners Fraser and Weisz will reprise their roles as adventurer Rick O'Connell and an Egyptologist, Evelyn O'Connell, in the movie, plot details for which are being kept, not unironically, under wraps. Alrighty. I just want to talk about this one. This is the rare sort of just movie-focused news that we get on the channel. Usually most of the news we do is video games or video game movie adaptations, though I just want to talk about the story as this is one I found to be pretty interesting. As the Miami Vice movie coming from Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan from director Joseph Kosinski is one of my most anticipated movies. It was one of my most anticipated of next year. Now it's going to be one of my most anticipated of 2028. I just think I like Miami Vice. I think the whole vibe is really cool, and it's going to fit well with, like, GTA 6 coming out later this year. It would have fit even better if it came out closer to GTA 6, but hey, I'm sure GTA 6 will be just as popular in 2028 as it will be at the end of this year or even next year. But yeah, so that's interesting. I don't think it spells any bad signs for the Miami Vice movie. I just think it's probably scheduling conflicts. Both Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan have a very busy slate coming up of movies. Michael B. Jordan's got Thomas Crown Affair, which has already been filmed, but now he's got the Battlefield movie, and Austin Butler has Heat 2, which he's going to be filming later this year, or sometime soon at least. I know Michael B. Jordan has other movies that he's filming soon, so two of them are probably so busy with filming other projects that they just had to delay filming of probably Miami Vice 85 to maybe later this year or sometime early next year, so Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan can film the other stuff they need to do, like Heat 2. And in terms of The Mummy moving forward to 2027, can't wait. I've never seen the original Mummy movies, but I do definitely want to watch them because I love the ride at Universal Studios, my favorite ride of all time, and I just think it's a cool vibe, and I think what really gets me excited for this is the directors. Matt Ben, Nelly Olpin, and Tyler Gillette, Radio Silence. I did a review last month on Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which is a movie I really enjoyed, and I talked on the video that I love Radio Silence. They're one of my favorite directors right now. I've loved every single one of their projects, all their Scream movies. Abigail is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I love the two Ready or Not films. And so I think this is really cool that they're finally leveling up to this huge level. They're doing a Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser for Universal. Like, this is going to be one of Universal's biggest, if not their biggest movie next year, other than Fast and Furious, which I don't know if it's 2027 or 2028. But don't forget about that. Don't forget about Fast Forever. Never forget about Fast Forever. More seriously, yeah, I think this is awesome that Radio Silence is getting to get their big chance to do something big like The Mummy. Hopefully, maybe it'll be a little more horror-oriented, get some cool jump scares in there, since that's what the Radio Silence guys are really good at. But then again, all their movies are so much fun, and I think they're such a great fit for something like this, and I think it's awesome. So yeah, it's really cool that it moved up and filming probably soon for The Mummy 4, which is awesome. Alrighty, on to our last news story of the day, and that is Resident Evil Requiem hits 7 million units sold. This is coming from Ollie Reynolds over at Nintendo Life. Resident Evil Requiem keeps on selling and no one can stop it. Resident Evil Requiem, the latest mainline entry in Capcom's iconic survival horror franchise, is an absolute juggernaut. Released on the 27th of February 2026, the game now has gone to sell more than 7 million copies. It's comfortably the fastest selling entry in the series, and at this rate, it's entirely possible that it can go on to become the highest selling too. Chuck in a few tempting discounts here and there over the next few years, and we reckon it's entirely plausible. This news comes directly from director Koshi Nakanishi, who posted an Instagram story depicting the two celebratory cakes showcasing the 7 million copy milestone. One is styled out to Leon, and the other Grace. This is awesome. Again, Resident Evil Requiem is so far my favorite game of the year. It probably will stay that way for who knows how long. But I loved it. It was a 10 out of 10 for me. My favorite Resident Evil game I've ever played. And I think this is awesome that it's sold 7 million copies. That's crazy for a Resident Evil game. That's insane in just a month. So that's bonkers. That is insane. Huge congrats to everyone at Capcom, to Nakanishi and everyone who worked on it. Just wild. It couldn't have happened to a better game, in my opinion. This is such a good game. This is 100% going to be, I don't know if it's going to win Game of the Year, but it's 100% going to be nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards at the end of the year. It's one of the highest rated games of the year, just behind like Pocopia. I think it's now like tied. It's even now higher rated, or just tied with Saros, which I will get into in just a minute. But it's just super cool. Just wanted to mention this as an awesome little new milestone that Resident Evil Requiem has reached. It's still selling like crazy even a month out. I think it's awesome that people are still going to buy the game with more sales happening. It'll sell even more, and just super great to see. Love it. Love this game. Glad so many people are getting to try this game out and getting to experience it and enjoy it. It's a fantastic game, and this means that we're just gonna get a million more Resident Evil games to come, and I'm happy with that. That makes me really happy. So, super cool. It really is like the year of Capcom and the year of Resident Evil. They just had a Pragmata has already sold 1 million copies. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 in my review on Thursday. Definitely go watch that video. Love the game. Really good game. Not without its issues, but still fantastic game. And yeah, this is Capcom's year, and this is Resident Evil's year. We just got Requiem. Hopefully in May, we're getting new updates, such as hopefully a Mercenaries mode. I know Nakanishi talked about in May, we're going to get finally new content. Hopefully a DLC later this year, and then next year, the Code Veronica remake that is highly rumored. And also, don't forget, my most anticipated movie, and hopefully also one of the best movies of the year. Here's hoping, Zach Cregger's Resident Evil. So, just great year for Resident Evil. Alrighty, and on to the final thing I want to talk about in this video. This is not a news story, but more of a review roundup. That's right, we're back to doing review roundups where I kind of go over all the games that either came out this past week or coming out soon that just had reviews come out, and just talking about the reviews and letting you know, should you play it? Here are the reviews. Take it into consideration if you're going to pre-order the game or not. But the big review that came out just on Friday is Saros. This is Housemarque's next game, their follow-up to Returnal. Almost a spiritual successor, but still a different enough game where it is a brand new, different thing. And this is a new, they don't call it Bullet Hell, they call it Bullet Ballerina, which is very cool sounding. This is a third-person action roguelike Bullet Ballerina shooting game, starring Rahul Kohli as the main lead, Arjun Devraj, which Rahul Kohli is awesome. And I've heard he is great in this game. So to go over the review scores for Saros, currently sitting on Metacritic, it is sitting at, as of Saturday, April 25th, it is sitting at an 88 on Metacritic and an 89 on OpenCritic. So one of the highest reviewed games of the year so far. Absolutely insane, awesome to hear. It is like just behind maybe just Pokemon Pokopia, which is still the highest like reviewed game of the year, at least highest reviewed like bigger game of the year, and then like Mutagenics and Resident Evil Requiem, and then now Saros. So that's awesome. It first started on OpenCritic at like a 92, which was bonkers, and then as the time went on, it moved down to an 89, which is still fantastic. And 89 is absolutely insane. One of the highest reviewed games of the year. I knew it'd review well. I was like totally calling it. Because I have a big list on my notes app of like my predictions for the review scores for every upcoming game, and I predicted around I think like a 90, 91 for Saros, and I was very close with an 89. To kind of read a few like small parts from people's review. Rick Lane at Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5 and said Saros' narrative often feels at odds with the kind of experience it wants to be, but there's no denying this is another top-tier action game from Housemarque. Michael Hyam over at IGN gave it a 7 out of 10 and said Saros tries at an interesting and ambitious story. It isn't always able to effectively tell, but Housemarque has once again proved that its bullet hell sensibilities mesh incredibly well with fluid and challenging action. Richard Wakeling over at GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10 and said Saros is a phenomenal game that flips Housemarque's roguelike formula on its head and improves upon its spiritual successor in every conceivable way. And then, yeah, to kind of go off of what people are saying, a lot of people have been saying that one of the big, I'd say, pitfalls of Saros, and it's not necessarily bad, but is just the story and how it reaches good highs, but also doesn't reach the highs that people want it to. It's definitely trying to have more of a story, or way more of a story than Returnal, which didn't have much of a story. I'm actually just playing Returnal. I'm not replaying it, kind of going through it again. Love it. I love Returnal. It's such a good game. I'm kind of enjoying it again. Been playing it nonstop the past few nights. Just absolutely falling in love with the game again. Getting me even more excited for Saros. And yeah, the game doesn't have much of a story. Obviously, other moments where you go first person into the house and some really creepy stuff happens. And this game definitely has actual cutscenes this time, actual like some crazy stuff that I've seen at least from like cutscenes, and it looks awesome. Very much like an Alien inspiration with a lot of the parts of the story, which I think is really cool. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that people are a little negative on, is just the story doesn't hit like the biggest high as possible, but everyone has all agreed that the gameplay is just fantastic, which makes me really happy because the best part about Returnal is the gameplay, and Sorrows, people have compared it to almost like Returnal mixed with Doom Eternal, which sounds just insane. That sounds bonkers to hear, and it's such a cool comparison. And people are saying it's much more sped up than Sorrows. There's a lot of jumping around, jumping high, getting crazy, just kills and crazy streaks, and just being just this ultimate killer and this ultimate soldier as Arjun Devraj, and just mowing through enemies, and the whole system of come back stronger and how you get a second life and a second chance. And you have permanent skill points and a skill tree where you can permanently upgrade your health and your weapon damage and all that stuff. You've got a shield now which absorbs damage, and you can use it to power up special attacks. It's more linear, where you now have, you can, once you leave your like home shelter, which has now actually like dialogue options, customization, all that stuff, which was not in Returnal. Every time you leave, you can now choose where you go, which map area you start in. It's kind of almost like levels now, which Returnal very much had that, but you had to still, if you died, say you were on, for example, the third level, or second level, the Crimson Waste, the desert. Say you're at the desert. If you died, you have to go back and go through the jungle to get to the desert. I'm totally blanking on the names. I'm just calling it jungle and desert, the first and second area. And then the third area as well, like grayscale, sort of creepiness vibe with those like guys who like crawl at you, then blow up when they get close to you. Hate those dudes. Hate those. So stressful. But also the boss battle in the third area is just crazy. The skull guy, insane. Nemesis is his name. Bonkers. But yeah, so instead of kind of having, once you die, you have to go through each of them again, and there's shortcuts to get to each one, but you still have to go through it. In this one, you can literally just start at the next place, which I think is, honestly, I kind of prefer. The big thing is this game, many people have said, is also way easier than Returnal, which Loki, as someone who has a hard time with Returnal and is definitely struggling in a lot of areas, I kind of welcome that more as just more accessibility. I welcome the accessibility where if you want it to be as hard as Returnal, you can do that. But if you want it to be easier than Returnal, you can also do that, which I really like. I definitely appreciate Housemarque doing that, making it more accessible for players like me who maybe are not as good as like Returnal. It makes me definitely more excited for the game. This is a day one purchase for me. I am pre-ordering it probably today or tomorrow. I can't wait for this game. It looks awesome. Really looking forward to it. And not this week, but next week, once it's out, it's coming out this upcoming Thursday. So pretty soon from now, we're just a couple days away from Sorrows. But once it releases the next week, so 2 weeks from now, I will be having reviews on either Tuesday or Thursday, depending on how long it takes me to finish the game, kind of like Pragmata, and I will just have a bunch of content on the channel for Sorrows. I cannot wait for this game. It was definitely my most anticipated of April. So excited for it. It's going to be ending the month with a great bang, ending with possibly one of the biggest games and one of the best games of the year, Sorrows. So super cool. Cannot wait. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking forward to Sorrows, because I certainly am. I'm so excited for it. Definitely day one. Cannot wait to play it as soon as it comes out. But that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If I maybe messed up with anything, if I missed any big stories, put it down in the comments below. Would love to hear what you guys have to say on any opinions of any of these stories, from Xbox, what you think about what they're doing, to if you're excited for Sorrows, to if you're looking forward to The Mummy 4 from Radio Silence. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any ideas for upcoming videos, all that, and that's going to be all. Please, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment, all of that. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.